Hey loves, so I'm back with another video. I was very indecisive. I wanted to do an IG live, and then I'm like, I don't know, what am I going to talk about, who's available, who's not, yada yada yada. But you know what, Ash, no, do your research. Did my research, and I was like, I'm gonna do an IGTV video. That makes sense, right? And point being, I'm learning. So here we are, and I'm gonna bless you guys with just, some things that I have discovered in the past couple. So if you don't know, my name is Ashley. I do have a blog. It's called Own Your Authenticity. You can go to the website www.ownyourauthenticity.com. Please subscribe, leave comments, like the posts, leave me some testimonials. You can DM me, message me one way, whatever the case may be. So today my topic is don't give up. I did a post, I want to say 3 posts ago, so maybe 2 weeks ago, on this topic, and just basically encouraging you to appreciate where you are in your journey, right? So to give a little backstory of how I came up with the topic. So I received a letter from my job 2 days ago. Came home, rummaging through letters, and I'm like, why are they sending me a letter? Like, what is this? And then I looked on the envelope and it said celebrate. So I'm like, I'm confused. What are we celebrating? I don't get it. So I opened it and it said happy 5-year anniversary. And I posted something last night, just a snippet of kind of what the past 5 years have meant to me at that job. So I open it, I'm reading through, and so for us, when we get like stuff like that, they'll give us points to like our infonet, through the infonet, whatever the case may be, and then we can get ourselves a gift. So I'm like, okay, this is cute. And then I get to the back page and I see where a couple of my coworkers wrote, like notes, because they will send it out to like your fellow coworkers and say, hey, this person is celebrating X amount of years. What do you want to tell them? So, just reading through some of the notes, and I'm like, yo, like, I feel loved, and not oh no, cocky stuff, but I just to know that I'm appreciated. You know what I mean? Like, when you're at work, you're at work. Who has time to be like, oh my God, like, I appreciate you so much. Half the time it's like, yo, come help me do this real quick because I'm drowning, or whatever the case may be. And my unit is very close-knit. For those of you who don't know, I'm a nurse. And we have crazy days. So I just thought it was very heartfelt, just seeing the notes. And when I posted it, I had other co-workers say to me like, Ash, congrats, like, I appreciate you, whatever the case may be. And it means a lot. So I'm speaking from a place of not giving up today, because when I got the letter, I took a trip down memory lane. Basically, my start wasn't easy. For those of you who don't know or haven't read the post on this specific topic, 5 years ago, I started nursing school. 5 years ago, I was also terminated from a job, and it took a toll on me. I had mixed emotions because I felt like, how are you a college graduate and you can't hold a simple job, right? And not to say, like, I was job hopping for a minute, because I was like, bro, I'm not gonna be working for nobody for $8.25. I didn't leave college for that. But at the same instance, I doubled my salary, or my hourly wage. Wow, tongue-tied. And I felt like I was moving backwards, and it didn't make sense to me. So a part of me, when I started nursing school, this happened right before nursing school. So I was torn. I was like, bro, so you're about to take on more responsibilities, but you can't handle what you already have. How does that make sense? But a part of me, when I, lost that job, I felt at peace. And I felt like, for whatever reason, I felt like God was covering me from something. Like, he protected me from something. And I was like, you know what? Others may not understand the peace that I have having lost this job, but I'm okay, right? Like, I felt like I had certain things lined up, and I was like, but I'm gonna be okay. It's fine. Like, I'm not starving. I'm not begging food on the street. You know, I have a house over my head. I have family that love me. I have support. What more do I need but that? So, and I've said this before, that day I felt like, why I said I feel like God protected me is because it just so happened that my dad was home from work. He's never home from work. He wasn't even sick. Like, I was so confused. You know, and I was able to call him and say, yo, come pick me up. Like, don't even ask me no questions. Just come pick me up. And when he came and got me, he was like, yo, what happened? I told him the story, and he was like, all right, you want to go eat? And I'm like, I just told you, basically, I got fired, bro, and you asking me if I want to go eat? Does this make sense? But the peace that I had allowed me to say, you know what, though? But this is exactly what I'm talking about. God got me. Like, my dad didn't spaz out, my stepmom didn't spaz out, my mom didn't spaz out. Like, they asked questions, of course, like, what happened, how do you feel? But they were okay, right? I started nursing school, I want to say 3 weeks after that, and I never looked back, right? I look back to see my progress, but that's it. Would I take anything back from any one of those experiences? No. And I feel like it developed me into the nurse, the woman, the character, the person that I am today. I think that journey alone taught me so much, right? In not giving up, I could have thrown the towel and been like, wow, like, I can't do this. That means I'm not supposed to go to nursing school. No, I pushed through even after my first med-surg exam. For those of you who don't know, med-surg is shoot me. After the first exam, I came home and I told my stepmom, I was like, I don't think I could do this. And then there was just a still small voice that was like, no, stop being a punk. Like, you just have to buckle down and do what you gotta do so you can get through. I went to my professors and I was like, what do I need to do to get through this class? Because I don't know what I'm doing, right? I followed her guidelines, passed the class, no problems, went through. And saying all that to say, I think sometimes we allow our current situations to determine what our future holds. And most times it doesn't. I could have said, wow, like, I'm not worth anything 5 years ago. And I'm looking at me now and I'm like, yo, what? I am popping. Again, not to be cocky. But looking at my growth, it's been tremendous. And I wouldn't take anything back. I remember when I got the call from Press B asking if I wanted to interview with them. It was September. I never forget. And I was at home, you know, jamming out. I was probably trying to study, distracted, who knows. And when I got the call, I remember the guy saying like, hey, you know, this is New Presbyterian. Just calling for Ashley James. Just wanted to know if you're still interested in interviewing with us for X and such position. I'm like, am I? I'm like, yes. When do you need me to come in? Like, it's not even a question, right? Because I had applied out of somewhat fear, in thinking that this is one of the most prestigious hospitals in New York City, let alone the state. And for you to call me to ask me if I want to come in for an interview, yeah, right? And as much as I wasn't the most confident back then, I'm still not 100%, but I'm much better than I was before. And I remember when I went in for the interview and I was just like, oh my God, like, please let them like me. You know, like, you know how before you go in for the interview, you research everything about the company, so you find out like what their mission statement is, all these things. And I was like, yo, like, you better recite these lines, like, find a way to pop them in because you got to get this job. And then what I had to do, got the job. And when I started, I remember on Thanksgiving Day, I remember thinking to myself, I don't know what I'm doing. And I remember just having to step out of my comfort zone and being uncomfortable. And I think when it comes on to growth, when it comes on to not giving up, you have to be okay with being uncomfortable. Because I put myself in a position where I'm very soft-spoken. I think I'm shy. Some think I'm not. I don't know. And I remember having to, you know, go up to nurses or whomever and saying, hey, today's my first day. I'm not used to what you do here. Please show me the ropes. You know, like, I had to take myself out of myself and be like, listen, in order for you to survive this job, you have so much autonomy in some senses, even as a nurse's aide, but in order to prove yourself or to build yourself up, you have to step outside of your comfort zone. And that's exactly what I did. Fast forward to 2 years later, once I graduated from nursing school, you know, got my license, I remember I was interviewing and I was like, oh my God, like again, the feelings came back and I was so fearful. It's like, I have a license. I have what some people don't. You know, I have the credentials. Why do I feel like I can't? You know, like I'm holding myself back. I feel like I can't do this. You know, will they like me again? And there's always that question. And I'm like, I remember when I interviewed for my current position, I told my boss, I was like, honestly, I don't care about who likes me and who doesn't at this point. I've come so far from that shy, timid, quiet girl to this point where I'm like, no, I have what you want. You either want me or you don't. And I mean, of course, I wasn't like that. But the point is, like, I had to make it known, like, hey, I'm interviewing for this position because I want to build my skills. I want to prove myself to myself. I want to see what I'm capable of. Like, I want to work with your team. Do you want me? Right? And I remember when I interviewed that day, my current mentor, my nurse mentor, she gave me a tour of the unit and she said to me, she was like, she was saying to people like, oh, you know, this is Ashley. She's going to be a nurse here. And I'm like, how are you so sure? Like, you don't make those decisions. You know, but there was just something about the nature of the interview, the nature of the people, that whatever it was. And I was like, Lord, I don't know what you're trying to tell me, but I'm going to have faith in you, right? I interviewed, I spent a little time with them. I spoke to, you know, other people, whatever the case may be. And I was just like, I think this is it. And the crazy part about it is I went on vacation the next day. But I didn't let that hinder me. You know, I still sent my thank you letter, well, email. I still sent my feelers out. I was still accepting other interviews in the meantime, but I was so stuck on, this is your time to shine. You can't stop here, right? When I got the job, it's funny because I had interviewed for 2 positions in like a span of 2 weeks, got both jobs. And when I got the call back, I was like, wow, I felt honored. I felt like, you know, all this worrying that I was doing, it paid off. Like, I can't even describe the feeling, but it was such a good feeling to know that, okay, like I did something right. Once I got the job, this was in 2017, and I started, you know, things were slow. If for any, not even just nurses, but for anybody out there starting in something new or in a position where they have more responsibilities, you find yourself like, what is this? Right? And as much as I knew certain things, like my nursing basics, I was good with that. How to give med, like good with all that. Excuse me. It's everything else that came with it that I was just like, I don't think I'm prepared. Like, what am I doing here? I remember I had moments where I went home crying. Like, and me, I don't cry in front of people. I don't like crying in front of people. I feel weak when I do it. It's not something I do. And I remember I would go home, get home, and I would just bust out into tears, like silently on the bed, in the bathroom, whatever. And it was because I felt incompetent. I felt like I wasn't prepared for my current assignment. And I had good teachers, great teachers actually, some of the best on my unit. And I think that I was just allowing my fears, and I was beating up on myself because it was a new world and I didn't know how to navigate through it, right? And there were countless times where I prayed and I was like, God, like, if this is not what you want me to do, why would you bring me here? Like, I already spent 2 years, you know, going through the ropes. I went through nursing school. I did this. I now have 2 degrees. Like, what are you trying to tell me? And I remember just and the crazy part about it is the things that happened, I feel like could have happened to anybody. They could have happened to anybody. But I think for me, coming from where I, you know, was coming from, the journeys that I had, I felt like they were just attacks. I felt like I was constantly being attacked. And not necessarily from my coworkers or from my boss. No, not like that. But I just felt like the things that were happening were just personal attacks on me because of my past experiences. If it's one thing that I realize now, is to separate myself. And for anybody that I've trained, you know, I've trained nurses, even nursing students. Wow. Nursing students that I've trained, I let them know, like, hey, I get it. Sometimes you're going to go home and you're going to feel like, I am the worst nurse alive. I'm the worst person alive. I cannot believe this happened today. Whatever. Don't take it home with you. Why? You're going to feel like you want to give up. You're going to feel like, you know, why are you doing this? You weren't meant for this. How dare you? Don't take it home with you. Your character, the person you are, the person you've built, the credentials you have, your faith, everything that makes you you is not determined by those factors, right? Again, I could have said in 2015 when I got terminated, I could have said, well, I'm worth nothing because you think that I'm X, Y, and Z. No, I'm pretty poppin'. Whether or not you think that, that's on you, boo. Right? I don't know if you've seen the memes that said, people's assumptions or their thoughts about you is a reflection of them, not of you. And don't get me wrong, sometimes people, you know, they'll tell you about yourself and you need to hear it. But there are other times when it's just projected insecurities, right? Went on a tangent, but the point is, not everything is meant to be taken personal, right? I've gotten to a point in my career where there are days when I legit sit here and I look back and I'm like, I'm proud of you. Like, I'm proud of you for stepping up to the plate, stepping out of your comfort zone, stepping off of whatever little box you thought that you were going to be in for the rest of your life, and actually going out and doing the damn thing because you're doing it, right? The same goes for my blog. It's for me, it's an accomplishment. And I've said this time and time again, I don't do it for the accolades. I do it because I felt like there was something on my heart that was calling me to do it. There are stories that I have to share, that I have to share. And I think that there are people who need to hear them, right? The feedback that I've gotten from people, like co-workers, strangers, friends, I'm just like, wow, like, y'all really read this and feel that way? That touches me in ways where I'm like, people are telling me, like, Ash, don't stop. Like, you can't, what you're doing, you don't even understand the magnitude. And I'm like, I thought I was just sharing my experiences with some women who could relate to it, but wow. And so for me, again, it's don't give up. There are days when, trust, I come home from work and I usually pre-write my posts, if that makes sense. And I'll write them like a week, 2 weeks in advance. And then the day before I'll edit and then, you know, proof, whatever the case may be. And there are days when something comes up and I'm like, this is going out tonight or this is going out tomorrow. And I write it the night before. But it's like, I feel like this story needs to be told now, right? And then there are nights when I'm like, I don't want to do this. I'm tired. I just want to go to sleep. I just want to cuddle. Like, this is a lot. I'm dramatic. And there are nights when I'm like, I can't just take like a mini vacation and just post on Friday, not tonight, for tomorrow. No? Okay. And I remember saying to my best friend, I think like 3 weeks ago, sometime in September, I had a week's worth of vacation. And I said to her, I was like, bro, like, can I just like not post this week? And she was like, why? And I'm like, because I'm on vacation. And she was like, what does that have to do with your blog? And I'm like, you're right. And it's not necessarily me giving up, but it's me like, maybe I should take a break, right? And it's like, no, you're in your current position and whether it's in your job, your entrepreneurship journey, whatever you want to call it as, whatever it is, your schooling journey, you're in that current position. You need to be consistent in that current position so that when you get to your final destination, you can say, oh, that's why I needed to show up and be consistent then. And that's why I couldn't give up then, because this requires a lot more out of me, right? If I had in 2017 said, as a novice nurse, as somebody who just came out the rings, didn't know what was going on, needed a lot of guidance, if I had given up mentally then, I wouldn't have appreciated the shift and where I am now, right? When I train my nurses, I tell them all the time, like, listen, I don't think I'm the best teacher. I don't think I am the best person to teach you. But they think we have a match and they think we'll get along and they think X, Y, and Z. I don't mind it. And I'll tell them, I teach from experience. I teach what I know, what you should know. I teach policies because those are important. But I teach from experience. So the mistakes that I've made and the things that I've done and the things that may have or have not gotten me in trouble, you know, that's where I teach from. I'm protecting you. You're gonna have days where you feel like crap. You're gonna have days where you feel like, bruh, I want to give up. I want to run away. I can't do this. This is too much. Oh my God. You're gonna have those days. I had those days. When was it? What's today? Thursday? On Tuesday. I was this close. I was like, bro, what is this? And then, as always, I have a rough shift or I have a rough day. And then I'm like, you know what? But God got me. Somewhere in between the craziness, I'm like, God got me. I might not see it right then and there. But by the end of the day, I'm like, you know what, Ash? But you survived. You're alive. You're not going to quit your job because ain't nobody sponsoring you. Move on. Right? One bad thing, one bad day doesn't determine your future. Right? Giving up, I think, is not an option. Sometimes we put ourselves in situations, or we put our, how to say this, we have the mindset in that situation where it's like, oh, but God wouldn't bring me right here, you know, like this doesn't make sense. No, maybe he did. And maybe you just need to stop wallowing in self-pity and see the blessing for what it is, right? You're going through the rough patch now so that, again, when you get to where you're supposed to go in the future, you can say, oh, this makes so much sense now, right? There are things that have happened in the past, and, you know, like, back then it's like, why is this happening to me? And oh my God, and me. And now a similar situation might happen, or before it happens, I see it for what it is, and I'm like, we're not gonna do this again. We're gonna do XYZ 1, 2, 3, or how about? And I'm able to navigate in a different way because I've seen the pattern before, or, you know, I know what to expect now, right? So for me, giving up is not an option. Do I think that every situation is ideal, or we're supposed to be in that situation? No, not necessarily. I've had some traumatic experiences in life. And I was just taking it as, you know what? But are you dead? But did God spare your life? Okay. Well, now is your time to go preach to the masses and let them know that they're not dying and they'll get through this because you didn't give up. Why should they? Right? And not to downplay the severity of some situations. I'll leave it at that. But I do think that our faith is much stronger than our struggles. I'm saying omelette and it's kind of bothering me, but it's all right. I do think that our faith is a lot stronger than our struggles. And that faith has gotten me to the point that I am today. I did take some notes, or write some notes, and I didn't stray too far, but let me see what else I got. So yeah, one thing that last night when I was, you know, kind of preparing, I talked to myself a lot. 19 years and an only child, don't judge me. One thing that I had spoken out loud, and I was like, yo, was your future destination is dependent upon your current situation. Your future destination is dependent upon your current situation. It may not always seem that way in the moment. We may not always see the blessing for what it is, right? I was about to say. I live in a basement. I'm in the basement apartment of my parents' home. I could complain all day about what is not. Oh my God, I need space. And don't get me wrong, I do sometimes. But it's okay. Why? I'm saving my coins. Ain't nobody clocking me. I can do what I want when I want, right? And I also don't have the responsibility of owning a home. But it's preparing me. It's preparing me that now I'm budgeting and I'm saying, okay, Ash, well, you're not going to splurge and spend $500 on clothes. No, you're going to repeat them joints so that you can have that $500 in your bank account. So when it comes time for you to move out, you have coins, one, and two, you know how to budget. You know how you're prepared. You know the sacrifices that it takes, right? Again, this is me not giving up on my current situation. I could have spazzed out a long time ago, but I don't, and I don't need to. Sometimes you just gotta take it a step back. It's okay. You're okay. You'll be fine. Another thing that I wrote down was don't give up because it's not happening in the time frame or the way you wanted it to. Trust the process and have faith in God's plan. And I'm sure somewhere in some of them blog posts it says that, right? So often we put a time frame on things. By now I should have been married with at least one kid. How old am I? 27. I wanted to do this at 25. But I've gotten to a point where I'm at peace with myself, right? And again, going on a tangent, but I think that sometimes we're in the current situation that we're in because God is trying to teach us a lesson. I don't regret not being in a relationship at 27. No. Do I want it? Of course. Of course. But do I understand that there were things that I needed to learn about myself, things that I needed to birth, things that I needed to take away from life? I needed to be spiritually grounded before I did that. Because had I done that at 25, it probably would have been a bit months. I'm not even going to acknowledge that. But the point is, sometimes, again, you're in your current situation, in your current space, because that's where you're meant to be in the moment. I think we oftentimes try to rush the plan. We step on God's toes and then we pray about it and we're like, Lord, oh my God, how did I get here? I didn't mean to do this. And it's like, I'm convinced that God just be up here like, what is this child doing? Even with me, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. Things happen, life happens, and I'm like, Lord, please spare me. But I think that we oftentimes rush his plans. We step on his toes because we want to do what we want to do in our timing, and he's taking too long. And then we get caught up in some mess, and then we're like, how did I get here? And it's like, because you're rushing his plan. You're trying to give up on where he has called you to be, and in the season and the space that you're meant to be in, because you want to be over there with them peoples, when you don't even know what them peoples had to go through to get to where they are. Some point in today, I was thinking, I was like, you know what? It's crazy because I've always seen the memes about like Oprah and those famous people who you see them where they are now and you think, oh my God, like Oprah's banking, she got mad money, like how is she able to give away cars every episode of her show, yada yada yada. And it's like, but Oprah was fired from how many jobs by the age of 20 how old, and she went through some traumatic experiences in life, but she never gave up because she believed in herself and she had enough faith to know that, you know what, this is not my final destination, and I'm not going to sit here and act like woe is me. I'm going to keep going until somebody knows that Oprah Winfrey is the boss. That's just my opinion though, right? I could sit and wallow in self-pity and say, oh my God, like nursing is not for me. I can't believe, No. I have moments, and it's funny because I haven't always felt the most confident or the most competent doing my job. But then I would have my patients look at me and like legit like take me by storm and say, you have been such a blessing and you don't know how much you have done for me in the short space of time that you've taken care of me. And I'm like, okay. And that alone is all the fulfillment I need. And that alone is all the push that I need to not give up. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. Things will happen regardless. It's not for me to take it personal. It's for me to learn from the experiences and move on. Right? I think that I'll tell people all the time, like, nursing is not easy. There are days when I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is too much. I am tired. My body is stressed, right? My back hurts, my feet ache. Like, this is too much. I'm thinking too hard. Like, I'm only one person. But then again, it's the fulfillment. I'm blessing somebody with the works that I'm doing. It's not about me. My blog is the same, right? I stepped out on faith on June 23rd in the middle of the night and decided it's time for me to stop thinking about, giving up before you even start is essentially what it is. I'm in bed thinking, but who's gonna read it? Oh my God, are people gonna like it? What if they don't like me? Oh my God, what if they're gonna ask questions? But you're in there. Who cares? You're mind bleeping yourself before you even start. Don't do that. I've done it for years and I still do it at times. And I have to remember, like Ashley Renee James, no, you cannot keep doing that. In order for you to get anywhere, you have to first step out. You can't give up before you even start. How does that make sense? You won't get anywhere, right? I just think, from I could say based on, for some of us, past experiences, from what we were told as children, what we're told from others who love us, from things that we've encountered, from the limiting beliefs that we believe, we put ourselves in a situation to say, I'm not capable of doing this. And again, we give up before we even start. I think that at this point, it's time for us to, no, we can't allow ourselves to just give up and say, it's okay, somebody else will do it. Again, not to sound cocky. Can't nobody present my blog, present my feelings, my thoughts, my experiences, what I've been through, what I'm going to go through, or what I want to share with the world. Nobody else can do that the way I'm doing it, because I am only one me. I'm the only Ashley Renee James out here, maybe not, that is presenting her blog the way she is. I'm sure, a million bloggers in the world. Positively sure about that. However, what they got going on and what I got going on is different. And we might have similar situations and similar stories, similar methods of presentation, but I'm only one me. She can't do it the way that I do it. So why am I comparing myself? Why am I giving up or choosing to withhold because I think that she's better, or she can, or I can? It's foolishness, to say the least. All right. And I'm not speaking from a place of been there, done that. No, I still struggle. I still have my moments where I'm like, can I? Oh my God. Like, you guys might not see that, but trust me, my closest friends, they be like, who cares? You can do it. Ooh, and my best friend is my biggest hype man. Like, I told her I was doing a video today and she was like, is it gonna be live or is it gonna be IGTV? Or, should I do this? She was like, school me, I need to know. And I'm like, okay. I told her I was gonna do the video, I think a couple days ago, and she was like, we need to get this, we need to get that, we need to do. I'm like, well, damn, I'm not even ready for the excitement that you got going on. But I think that a part of not giving up as well has to do with your circle and the people that you surround yourself with. You have a calling, you have a purpose, you have stories to tell, you have greatness inside of you. And I think that you can't limit yourself based on, 1, your past experiences, 2, what people have said to you, and 3, on the people that you surround yourself with. If you have negative chatter from the people in your circle, you need to find a different circle. Point blank, period. I'm not saying that everything you're gonna do, somebody is gonna be like, yes, like, you go, girl, you go ahead and do it. No, sometimes you're meant to do things solo and then just present it and be like, this is what it is. You either with it or you're not. I mean, not to say that I wouldn't have had the support had I told people what I wanted to do ahead of time, but I felt like it was a move that I needed to make solo and then just present it, and that's exactly what I did. All right. Saying all that to say, I know I went east, south, north, and west. Saying all that to say, don't give up on your current situation because it's not your final destination. You are where you are for a reason. You are where you are because it's a stepping stone to where you're going to go. And I think that having faith in God's plan and trusting the process, no matter how hard it is, no matter, you know, how foggy it looks in front of you, I think if you have faith in His plan, some way, somehow along the line, you'll be able to see it through. You'll get there and you're like, wait, pause. Wasn't I struggling like 2 years ago? Oh, okay. All right. I think we all at some point in life have had that moment. And if you haven't yet, trust God's plan. He's really never failed me. Because again, I've had some sticky situations in life. And He's not failed me yet. In my 27 years of living, He's not failed me. And as much as sometimes I'm not cognizant of it right then and there, when I take a step back and when I stop and when I quiet myself and I look back on the situations and the circumstances, I'm able to say, wow, like God really got me, because I'm not even sure how I got here. So I think, again, just saying this to say, don't give up. Trust the process. Have faith. And just keep doing what you're doing. It may not always feel right. It may not always feel worthwhile, fulfilling. But keep doing what you're doing. You'll get there. Don't give up, love. Spoken from experience, spoken from having faith and believing that this is not my final destination. I still got a ways to go. Don't give up. Love you. Thank you for watching. Again, visit the blog, www.ownyourouthenticity.com. Subscribe, like, share, whatever. DM me. And just enjoy this phase in your life. Enjoy what's happening. Enjoy the process while you're going through it. Right? Don't give up. I love you. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.